So the final app we're going to look at is the Material Input Data Entry app. And this one, while it looks and generally operates the same as the other three, it does not relate to specific planting records, production plan records, seeding records. It's much more generic, and it allows you to record anything that gets done to the fields or to the greenhouse that you want to keep track of. Now, it may be tracked back or traceable back to a specific planting record or production plan record, but that's not required. So we're going to go into it right now. And we're going to see that while it generally operates the same, it's both a little simpler and a little more complicated. The simpler part is we're really just have individual records of individual activities, and we record what happened against those. The things that are a little more complicated is that if it relates back to a production plan record, a greenhouse record, or seeding record, direct seed record, or a transplant record, it will be recorded against there. So for example, in this first record, you'll notice that we are using production plan record 1394. We have greenhouse record 1034 and transplant record 1000. That's a little more complicated. This could be something that's done well after the field is planted or transplanted. Okay. But you'll notice in the next record, which happens to be tracked to the field road in the upper left-hand corner there, you'll notice that while we have a plan record, we do not have any greenhouse or transplant records yet. So those haven't been recorded there. The way we search for these is a little different. We have a combo box. So for example, if we just want to look for C1, field C1, these are just C1. But we have, I think there's a sample record for N3, maybe a couple. And so there we have a couple of N3s. Yes, there's two N3s. And again, these are all dummy records used for testing purposes. And so we can clear any of these. We could just look at the field road. And now we have all the applications just to the field road. Okay. Now, in addition to that, and I'll clear that out. In addition to that, we have multiple methods. Right now, we're looking for you to add as many methods as possible, but we have a three-point boom sprayer, fertilizer tub, and hand mister. So we'll just select the hand mister, and you'll notice there's no records there. But if we go to a fertilizer tub dip, now you'll see we have one record for a fertilizer tub dip. Let's get rid of both of those and add the three-point boom sprayer, and most of the demo records are for that. Now, let's take a particular record and edit it. Let's say that I mistakenly put that to a three-point boom sprayer, and we want to move that to a fertilizer tub dip, and we can save that. And now, if we clear this out and go to fertilizer tub dip, there we go. We have a new one there. Editing is the same as all of the other routines. You select the one you want. That turns up purple at this point. Bring all the records in here. Let's say that wasn't 30. That should have been 50 pounds. You can do that. Let's change the weather. Make that 32 and 32. And we'll save this. Okay, we'll bring those back up. And there you see all those have been changed. We're going to make a test 2 addition here, test 3. And I'm going to make one more change here. Which one? Oh, I'm also going to point out there's a bunch of values at the bottom. They're currently for test purposes. They will be removed in the final version. Now, I'm going to point out and then show it in more detail in the next sample, but you'll notice that this one has a plan record, a greenhouse seed record, and a transplant record, all associated with it, meaning that this particular activity is related to all of those different records for traceability purposes. I'm going to say, oh, and the final point is, as always, you can hit the end date time label and it will update to right now, and we can save it, and you'll notice the end time Saves at that moment. As soon as this record is recorded, and there we go, everything is updated. Now, that is a standard edit. In this particular case, we're going to add a new record, which is in there. Now, if this is a generic irrigation of a whole field or fertilizer or disking of a whole field, and it's not related to any specific records, any planting records or production plan records, we just leave this alone, and let's just put in a number here and go 50 pounds, and we'll put a test in here, and we're going to go snow 32, 32. And what I am going to point out is a future version of this will be able to read the current weather from a weather API and put this in. You'll be able to you won't have to type this in, and you won't know, it won't matter what it is. So I'm going to save this. Okay. And it will save the record, and we'll get a new record. Okay. And there it is right there. Now, one thing that's interesting now, though, is let's say that we actually want to have a plan record associated with this. So we can go to the combo box here, and we can type in onion. Now, I'm going to pick a red onion for a specific reason. Okay. Now, what you'll notice is some of these other values have changed. Now there's a greenhouse seeding record available and a transplant record. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice that there is the seeding record, and there's actually a record of the transplant. So now we're tying this record specifically to those records. And there we go. And you'll notice that's now recorded there. So this ties the actual material input directly to all of those other records for future analysis. Okay, so that pretty much covers the entirety of the material input data entry screen right now. Remember, this is the most alpha of all the apps. It's still being tested and for review, and obviously we'll spend a lot of time deciding exactly what needs to be on this screen in which place so that it's the most useful, and adding things like automatically updating the weather and the location and fancy things like that. But for right now, the idea is just to log the activity against the field and perhaps some planting records. And with that, we're all done. We're going to swipe right, and we're complete.